Hey guys, Sundown here. This is going to be my chapter review to Nanatsu no Taizai, or The Seven Deadly Sins 337 Merlin. Now, I've not seen it on Reddit, but 338 is already out, I think. So I'm not sure why people haven't read it, or why there isn't people haven't read it. But on Reddit, people haven't read it. So I'm not sure if it's a super unofficial translation in the sense that it's a crap translation, but I'm going to read it straight after this and see what happens, because I haven't read it and I'm ready to read it. But this chapter, Merlin, oh man, like we're gonna go through it. We're gonna go through the whole thing and discuss it, because there are parts of it where I'm just like, the big drop, the whole Merlin, like I'm Aizen watashi wa Aizen, the other way around. That whole thing, I was like, I don't like that trope, but it's, the whole thing around Merlin being so unhelpful and then only helpful when she wants to be. It kind of explains that, and how she was always aware of stuff. It doesn't really explain how she always knew shit, but it did explain away a lot of how she acted. So let's get through the chapter. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Parts of it make me think, oh shit, this is added a new dimension to it. This is like, the motivations behind it are completely different. Not in the sense that, we've never had someone try to do something because they loved someone before. That's what this entire manga is. I saw someone on Reddit, I've forgotten whose name it was, or what the name was, but he just kind of lists everyone who's in love in this manga and their motivations, how they're driven by love. So it's like, Jericho is driven by her love for Ban is driven by his love for Elaine, Meliodas is driven by his love for Elizabeth, freaking Mile was driven by his love for Elizabeth. We had King driven by his love for Diane, and vice versa. We had Gartha and Nadia, but that doesn't really count. We had Escanor driven by his love for Merlin. We had Zelrus driven by his love for Gelda, and vice versa. And I think I've listed enough, but yeah, I really don't like that aspect of this chapter either, but let's go through it. So what we find out first is, the lady, we'll get to that. So the lake is speaking. It's saying why Merlin wanted chaos. I'll answer that in her place. They ask who she is, and she's like, I can't part from this lake. They didn't ask you to actually, did he say show yourself? Yeah, he did say show yourself. So she can't show herself, but she says that she was wrought from chaos, so she was a product of chaos. The ancients called her the Lady of the Lake, or the Saint of Chaos. And Arthur's just there like, oh yeah, you were the person who gave the holy sword, i.e. Excalibur, to King Carfin. Now I'm not sure, I'm not like well versed in Arthurian mythology, but I'm pretty sure the Lady of the Lake gave Excalibur, or gave a sword. I'm not sure if it was Excalibur now that I think about it. It might have been Excalibur to Arthur. She gave it to King Arthur. Arthur was there. She handed it over to him, saying, yo, go yeet people with this sword. Go yeet the sword at people. She never gave it to no King Carfin, I don't think. Arthur was the one who was the legendary king who had Excalibur. I'm not sure who knows, maybe there was a King Carfin, but that's nothing I remember. Anyway, Meliodas is very suspicious. He's like, yo, I've been alive for 3,000 years. There ain't nothing over here called chaos. I never heard no chaos. Turns out Merlin's been hiding chaos. So, Merlin's the only possible person who could ever know anything about chaos. That's what I don't like. I hate about this manga. If someone wants to keep a secret from someone, it's like, alright, cool, I'm just not going to say anything. You're never going to find out. Bitch, there are other people who should know this shit. Merlin had a whole village of people who should have known that shit. I understand they got eradicated, but not one scroll or anything was in Britannia that mentioned chaos. None of the other wise men outside of Belialyn or Belialyn, nobody else knew about chaos. Just the wisest of the wise men. Really? I mean, like, come on, there was bound to be one person, especially amongst the demon clan, especially because the Demon King and the Supreme Deity are later, we're told that they had these feelings of avarice, these feelings of jealousy towards the human race, or even though it wasn't really well explained, it says that they were jealous towards the human race because they felt that their people would love chaos more. And I was like, wait, what? How does that make sense? But I'm saying it's really, really far-fetched to think that nobody else knew about chaos. Especially someone who's essentially heir to the demon king's throne, and someone who's heir to the supreme deity's throne. Neither of both Meliodas or Elizabeth knew about chaos, which sounds like bullshit to me. Anyway, Merlin well, Merlin all the way throughout this chapter, she's just sideways glancing, knowing that she's like being snitched on essentially by the Lady of the Lake. She's just sideways glancing all the way through, and I'm just like, look me in the eye, bitch. Look me in the eye when they're telling me what you've done. Anyway, everyone's like, oh my god, she betrayed us, kind of thing. That's the least of their worries at this point. So the Lady of the Lake goes straight into, let's go with story time. So long ago in Britannia, there existed a capital by the name of Belialin or Belialuin, where it was a capital of the superior wise men of humanity. They didn't side with the demons nor with the goddesses, and they basically in this town, city, whatever, they had children who they would train who possessed an aptitude for magic. They were experimented on, they were test subjects, they were trained essentially as human weapons against the higher ranking demons, goddesses. But it was all under the name of research, for science, all that shit. And among them, obviously, the prodigy was Merlin. She was the strongest and she had the most unique magic, unique meaning broken in this sense. So it says from birth, she was kicking the shit out of all the old guys. All she ever wanted was, a child. She was a child hungering for the love of a parent, her dad, because apparently mothers don't exist in manga, apart from the supreme deity. But I'm sure if you ripped off a skirt, she'd have balls underneath there. Anyway, we see Merlin here. Yeah, all she wanted was the love of her father. All he did was give her scrolls and books and stuff like that, reading material, tests to perform. So she was like, bitch, I'm done with this shit. And she did one. She ran out of the city. She ran away from the village, ran away from her father, all that good shit, having had enough of all of that. So she's crying. She's walking with no destination in mind. Her heart was exhausted. Her tears dried up, apparently. And all the while, she was evading pursuers, and eventually they caught up with her. But when they caught up with her, a boy saved her. And I find it weird how they refer to him as a boy, because Meliodas was a man at this point. Like, look at him. He's in his all-star gear. He's in his Ten Commandments gear. He's got his Zangetsu out. And he's not really a boy. I mean, he has the guise of a boy. He looks like a boy, so I suppose there's that going for it. But the boy was Meliodas of the demon race, and he kicked the shit out of her pursuers. And everyone's like, oh my god, Meliodas, you saved her? Oh shit. We all kind of knew that there would be some... Well, we didn't know that he saved her, to be fair. And I liked that aspect of this chapter. I liked the backstory. Merlin is still sideways glancing, and Arthur is chatting shit. Anyway, Meliodas holds Merlin's hand when she's young, and when she holds his hand, she feels the love. She's like, that hole in her heart had been filled up by Meliodas. So every time she saw Meliodas, that feeling deepened, and with time transformed into something special. She loved the guy. Okay, let's not beat around the bush. Just say it. When you say what you mean and mean what you say. So everyone's shook. They just say, oh my god, Merlin had feelings for the captain. We've known this for a long time. For the people who are on Reddit complaining about, oh my god, she has feelings for him, this has never been said before. It had been said before. You need to reread the manga. I wouldn't recommend that. But yeah, so everyone shook. Elizabeth especially. She's like, yo shit, Merlin, you had feelings. But as you'd expect, Meliodas didn't have feelings for a child, because he's not a freaking child molester. He's not a pedo. Alright, we support that. Good job, Meliodas. So no matter how much time passed, he never developed romantic feelings for her, because she's a child. So Merlin was worried. She was thinking. She was like, hey, I got a good idea. So she transformed herself from this guise of a little girl, and she recreated herself in the image of an adult woman. And over here, I'm not gonna lie, I saw this and I was like, damn, like, I'm not sure where she, because she would have had to have had an image of a woman that she wanted to look like, right? And she created something that was like, geez, okay. So she, in order to keep her body like that, we know that she stopped the time that was coursing through her, and she looked like this forevermore. That's all well and good, and she did this so that she could win over Meliodas' heart. Meliodas comes back, he's with Elizabeth, and then she, her dreams were crushed, her heart was crushed, all of that good stuff. When she saw Elizabeth, she was suffering from all the shock, the sadness, anger, jealousy, all that good stuff, and all the feelings were hurting her in her heart. So we see here how Merlin was being taken care of by Elizabeth and Meliodas, and she couldn't bring herself to hate either Elizabeth or Meliodas. But what she did do was she returned to Belialin on her own. She filled that hatred, that jealousy, that emptiness in her heart with education, with knowledge. So she absolutely indulged in every scroll, every book that her father had left behind, scripts, all that stuff, applying herself to her magical training, which is why she's as powerful as she is, even though she's still way more powerful than she freaking should be. We'll get to that. And she devoured all the knowledge of the world. And then one day she heard a couple of the wise men in her city saying, "Oh yeah, remember Chaos?" Looking over at Merlin like, "Chaos?" I was like, okay, cool. But Chaos is apparently some being. They show a dude, and it says the drive. This is how Chaos is described: the drive of power that was born amidst ancient stars, far, far away. You know what that sounds like to me? Someone didn't have an explanation for what the fuck Chaos was. Legit, like that's exactly how. If I was writing a story and I was like, how do I explain this? Where did it come from? Far, far away, amidst the stars and galaxies, amidst nebulous clouds, this was formed, and it came to Earth and did shit. It formed everything. So from Chaos, what was created? The world was created. Supreme Deity was created. The Demon King was created. The sacred tree, which is in the center of the Fairy King's forest, that was created as its third offspring. So he had two sentient beings, or two like humanoid beings at least, apart from the Supreme Deity, who has like light for a head. We've never seen her face. So two humanoid-ish beings as its children. And then it had one thing which just looked like a testicle with the tubing still attached, but removed from the sac. So I'm not sure. Like the tree was a kid, okay. I'm just like, okay, well, if you want to count it as a kid, cool. But it ain't never said nothing. But it has been shown to be kind of sentient. Anyway, the Supreme Deity, we know, created the Celestial Realm and the Goddess Clan, or the Goddess Race. Demon Lord created the Demon World and the Demon Race. The Sacred Tree created the Fairy Realm and the Fairy Folk. After that, Chaos created the Giants, but he was disappointed in the Giants because they were just savage, mindless beings who inflicted pain on each other, couldn't give a shit. You know, he was like, okay, that's a failure. Let's scratch that, pretend that didn't happen. So then his next iteration of the Giant Clan, I think the alpha version instead of the beta version, was humanity. So he created humanity as kind of his master class, his master race. You know, they were kind, but they could be cruel. They were loving, though they could be loathing. They were brave, but also cowardly. They had beauty, they had beastliness in them, everything. He was like, this is an incomplete race, but they're the perfect race. So this is the part where I was confused. It says, in light of such a perfect work, the two gods were filled with jealousy and apprehension. They feared that the love and respect their own created races devoted to them would be stolen by their creator Chaos. So let me get this straight. In light of such a perfect work, so in light of humanity, the two gods were filled with jealousy and apprehension. So they're jealous and apprehensive of humanity. They feared that the love and respect their own created races, i.e. the demon race and the goddess clan, goddess race, devoted to them would be stolen by their creator Chaos. That doesn't line up to me. So humanity, the demon race, the Demon King and the Supreme Deity are jealous of them because they're the perfect race. They're this new race. They're new kids on the block. They're the ones that are coming on with the new Jordans and shit like that. And you still got the first pair. But that's what we're being told they're jealous of. But then we're told that they're jealous of they fear the fact that their own people are going to love Chaos more than them. But what the fuck's that got to do with humanity? You understand what I'm saying? Like, I think you understand what I'm saying. I've said it like 3 times. But the Supreme Deity and the Demon Lord work together to seal Chaos away. Cool, that sounds easy enough. Anyway, upon hearing that, Merlin spent the next 3,000 years structuring her life around the aim of resurrecting Chaos. So that's what Merlin's aim has been for the last 3,000 years. I'm going to resurrect Chaos to fill this hole in my heart, to give meaning to my life, you know? Because Meliodas doesn't love me. And that's something that a lot of people drew issue with, and what I really draw issue with as well. Her whole thing has been, my dad didn't love me, Meliodas showed me love, so I love Meliodas. And because he didn't love me back in a non-platonic way, I'm going to go revive Chaos to do something else for me. We don't know what that is yet, whether it's to make Meliodas love her, whether it's to change time so that, or put her in an alternate timeline where Meliodas did love her or something like that. I don't know. But she wants to revive Chaos, who gives rise to virtually limitless unknown. Then her starving heart would be filled. So yeah, so I don't like the fact that, you know, she's driven by the fact that, I was rejected once. She wasn't even rejected. She didn't even ask Meliodas, you know, by the looks of things. But because she wasn't loved by Meliodas in the way that she loved him, she thought, yeah, for 3,000 years, I'm gonna work my nuts off trying to revive Chaos in a very Aizen-esque way. Let's get to that. So apparently, a number of conditions had to be met for this resurrection to work. Defeating the Demon King, Merlin used the 7 deadly sins to do that, but according to the Lady of the Lake, but we're all even because she used you, but you used her as well. She used her abilities, but they used her abilities as, like, they didn't say, Merlin, do this now. They were just more like, we're a team, we're going to help each other out. That's kind of what team is. So that's not an even split. That's not even on the scales of this is the work we're doing. Merlin straight up used these guys in order to revive the demon king and then kill the demon king, then revive him one more time to kill him at the lake, I think, properly. Diane goes on apeshit. She's like, shut up, and we don't care about Diane over here. So the Lady of the Lake says, yo, it's true, I don't know much about Merlin, but what I do know, she knows that it was Merlin who asked the giant craftsman. So we find out the guy who crafted the Coffin of Eternal Darkness was a giant. His name was Zabuzu, and he in that was sealed away the Demon Lord and the Supreme Deity. Now, I thought the Coffin of Eternal Darkness housed the 10 Commandments, right? So the 10 Commandments were in this Coffin of Eternal Darkness, but apparently so was the Demon Lord and the Supreme Deity, the Demon King. So I'm just like, okay, so if the Demon King got out, where's the Supreme Deity at? Is she out? We then see a whole bunch more shit that the Lady of the Lake drops. Like, she is straight snitching on Merlin. She says, I know that she intentionally delayed the spell to stop time during the first battle in order to resurrect the Demon Lord. You know what's funny? I don't actually remember what the first battle with the Demon Lord was because we've had fucking 50 of them. I don't know which one's which, so I can't remember because I haven't reread. But apparently, you're gonna have to fill me in on this. The first battle against the Demon Lord, she didn't stop time during the battle in order to resurrect the Demon Lord. So that must have been when Meliodas was possessed, and she. Where was this? I can't really remember. But she didn't stop time. There must have been an issue where she could have stopped time and allowed for something to happen, but she didn't, and that allowed the resurrection of the Demon Lord, which she wanted. She wanted the Demon King to resurrect. She reactivated the curse on Elizabeth that Meliodas had broken. So once Meliodas had defeated the Demon King, she reactivated the curse on Elizabeth. Number one bullshit. She should not be anywhere near the class. This is a god with a small g that's bestowed, bestowed is kind of the wrong word, but bestowed a curse upon Elizabeth, and then the same for Meliodas. These are god tier individuals, and Elizabeth is just like, you know what? Meliodas has wiped that out. Someone mentioned this on Reddit. Meliodas has wiped the essence of that curse out. There's nothing left of it. I'm gonna reactivate it. Yeah, and it's just back. And not Merlin. What's her name? Elizabeth was very close to dying, and all that shit. And I'm just like, this is bullshit. This is poor writing at its finest. I'm gonna say it, Nakaba. This is poor writing. Shit, bullshit. Number one. Then in the final battle against the Demon Lord, she drove their combo into the lake. That is about all I know. So essentially what the Lady of the Lake is saying is that Merlin, from the beginning, from the moment that she was rejected by Meliodas, even though there was no rejection, from the gathering of the sins, from all the shit that they've been through not giving people a power up when they needed it, giving Ban Kurishus when he actually did kind of need it, even though he needed it earlier than that, the killing of Escanor, the dying of Escanor, all the shit that's happened in that time, she planned. She was fully prepared for, and she'd taken into her grasp. She took into a stride, and continued onwards towards her goal of resurrecting Chaos. All of this has been her pulling the strings in the back, puppeteer, and no one else was the wiser. I hate stories like that. Game of Thrones, alright, cool, because in the books there are people who are more puppeteerish, like Littlefinger, like even Varys and stuff like that. They're very, very hidden. People don't tend to know much about what they're doing, but they do it well. It's written well. They're the puppeteers in the dark. We know, and other people kind of know, but we don't know the extent to how powerful they are. Nobody suspected Merlin of being like this puppeteer in the back pulling the strings, because you can't pull the strings all the way through a story like this or Game of Thrones and have everything go your way. And there are definitely things that didn't go Merlin's way, but it just seems to be very, very, very ass polish. Not even ass polish. It's just very. It's benefited her in such a way that all these actions have gone the way that they needed to for her to revive Chaos. Even if she just needs to reactivate a curse on Elizabeth or some shit and needed the Demon King to die somewhere else. So Ban here is like, wait a sec, so you knew the captain's body would be taken over and let the Demon King revive that way? And she's like, oh yeah, one more condition was that for the key to a reawakening Arthur, she needed an explosive magic. So she had the combo attack directed into the lake to reawaken Arthur as well. So even though Meliodas' body had been taken over, there was that undertone of, but I actually did help Arthur. So it seems that Merlin's a bit batshit crazy, because she kind of tries to justify her actions with, oh, but there was a good underside, there was a silver lining to my evil action, which the motivation behind the action was the evil or the questionable side. But the silver lining beneath, that's what we're going to focus on here. That's what she's trying to say. So the intelligent and wise and witty Merlin really not using any of those 3 skills. So she says to revive Chaos, it wasn't enough to seal away the Supreme Deity and the Demon Lord. One of them had to be completely destroyed in order to disrupt the balance, which is where Chaos comes in. So the Demon King is dead. Like, there's nothing left, which suggests that the Supreme Deity might still be sealed away. Then what do we get? Meliodas asks, he's like, look me in the eye and tell me, did you really try to kill Elizabeth? And she's like, well, your objective was essentially, she says to Meliodas, your objective was to free Elizabeth of her curse. Once that had happened, you wouldn't have focused on the Demon King. You would have just let him do his thing. You wouldn't have tried to defeat him. She couldn't have that because she wanted to awaken Chaos. So she reactivated the curse, which somehow brought the Demon King back to life. I'm not sure how that works, or it was his purgatory self. It's a weird thing. I'm not sure. You guys might need to explain the nuances to me. But she was like, I couldn't have that. I needed you to defeat the Demon King. We see Diane and King like sweating out, crying. People are crying and shit. And I'm just like, okay, like, I don't give a shit about y'all. I just want to see this continue. So Meliodas is like, so why? That's why you reactivated the curse. Once again, she goes for the silver lining, but I'm the one who saved Elizabeth, and I'm just like, you bitch. Meliodas he's like, when you assemble the 7 deadly sins, was it only to achieve your goal to carry this out? And all the way through, she just seems very glum, very melancholy, very sad, almost as if she didn't really want to do this, or almost as if she wasn't expecting to develop friendships and then did develop friendships, but she was too deep into wanting to achieve her goal to turn back, so she continued anyway. The Lady of the Lake is like, oh, it shouldn't be a mystery to y'all. Humanity, like I said before, you're very polarizing, and you're very polarized individuals, in the sense that she hated someone so much she wanted, or you hate people so much you want to kill them, but you can still love them. That's what humans do. And then the Lady of the Lake says, in the end, I wonder if you and Merlin, being different races, will ever truly be able to understand one another. So yeah, sure. I mean, like, I'm not sure, because Meliodas is very, like, he might be a demon, but he's a very human demon. Same with Elizabeth, she's a very human goddess. Ban is freaking human. King and Diane, a fairy, and Diane, Diane, she's a giant, and then Garth is a doll. Who gives a shit about that? But Meliodas, I feel, is very close to being human in terms of personality. And so, like, for the Lady of the Lake to say, oh, because you're different races, will you ever truly be able to understand each other? Yeah, bitch. They were raised all basic. Well, a lot of them spent most of their time in Britannia. Even Merlin. So I think, what's his face? Meliodas probably spent most of his time in Britannia amongst humans. Ban, most of his time in Britannia amongst humans. Same for Elizabeth, same for our fairy king, same for Diane, same for Galtha, same for freaking Merlin, same for Escanor. So yeah, they would have understood each other. This is bullshit. So that's the end of the chapter. And as you can see, I'm very unsure of how to rate this chapter. I'm not sure what I think of it. Like I said, there's issues to this. This is the reason Escanor died, because Merlin was pulling strings in the back, and she wishes that she could have met him 3,000 years ago before she met Meliodas, so that someone else could have filled her heart instead of Meliodas, and then not rejected her. But I really don't like the Eisen aspect of it. I hate that. I hate that with a passion. You did not plan every fucking step. You didn't plan it from when Ichigo was born, and from when the sperm cell first hit the egg cell, and the proteins break down the shell around that. I'm not even sure if that's how it works. I hate that stuff with a passion. People on Reddit, let me just read a couple of these Reddit posts. Everyone's saying Eisen, Escanor's unlucky, all that good stuff. Let me see. I'm pretty sure there were a few. Yeah, I'm not sure if there was anything more I really could have said. Yeah, but I really don't like that. I don't like the fact that Merlin is, I just don't like the fact that she planned all of this shit all in advance. She'd written it, sent it to herself as an email, and 1 year later she came back to read what happened. She was like, "Oh shit, I did plan that." And I'm just like, "Nah, I don't like that." And she did all this because she couldn't get over the fact that Meliodas didn't like her back. Like, really? You did all this shit just to say that? But it does answer a lot of why Merlin was so useless / broken useful, and why she was able to body so many people. It doesn't explain why she was able to body people, but it does explain why she would choose who to body and who not to body. So I suppose there's that, right? But yeah, let me know what you guys thought of this chapter. Let me know what you guys thought of this review. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And I suppose this means Merlin isn't, the Demon King wasn't really the final boss. Actually, there was another point someone mentioned, because in the anime of, and I think even in the first few chapters of Nanatsu no Taizai, we get that intro of, this was before the human race was separate from the other clans, right? From the other races. So maybe this is the beginning of that. Maybe she revives Chaos. Someone actually did mention this somewhere. I don't know where it is. But maybe she revives Chaos and it all goes to shit, and humanity is separated from the demons, from the goddesses, from the demon clan, from the giant clan, from the fairies, from the furries, from everyone else. All that shit. So maybe this is the start of something new, and therefore leads into the age of Arthur with Excalibur. But who would he be fighting? Would he just be fighting other humans? Because if it was Arthur against humanity, we saw him attack and not almost kill, but he cut in two of the greatest demons we've seen, both Chandler and Cusack. So if he's fighting against humans who are stronger than those two, then I'm going to call bullshit on that as well. So like I said, the chapter itself is pretty cool in the sense of, it has truly subverted expectations. It's where I thought we were gonna go and how this has turned out. Merlin being the puppeteer in the back and all that shit, having planned meticulously. Yeah. This is exactly what's gonna happen. Meliodas is gonna just do this. Ban's gonna do this. There's gonna be a child involved with Ban. All that shit. I just feel like it's a little bit out there, and this is a half-hour review. I apologize for that. But yeah, I'm not sure about this. I'm both good things and bad things about this chapter. I think for the most part, this has been bullshit for me. I mean, it's going to lead into something new, but I don't like Merlin's character. It's so bad. Her motivations for wanting to revive Chaos, bullshit. You're going to revive Chaos, this entity who you have no idea what the hell he's going to do. This dude could come back and just body you and body everyone, and then just take over the world and fap himself and create new entities and stuff. He's basically going to come and delete the entire history of freaking of Britannia. He's just going to come over and delete that shit. Even though that's not the shortcut. Not that I know the shortcut, but I don't like that. I don't like that motivation. I don't like the fact that motivation was enough of a motivation to light a fire under the ass of this baby freaking Merlin. And for 3,000 years, that's a long time, boys. 3,000 years, 3 of them, she was able to dedicate herself to, I'm gonna revive chaos, to see where it takes me, to fill this hole in my heart that Meliodas left in me. I don't know. I don't buy it. I don't like it. I think it's bullshit. And Escanor died for this shit. Escanor, like, the way we're looking at this is that because she needed the Demon King to die, she's the one that kind of brought him back, pulled the strings, everything was happening as it should have done. She didn't unleash the specific magical spells that she should have done. She didn't help out when she knows she could have done. She tried to kill Elizabeth because she reactivated the curse and then rebirthed the Demon King essentially from purgatory, I assume. So he had 2 lives. All of this just to bring back someone who she has no idea what the hell he's gonna do, and who will probably body her. I hope after all this, because Merlin seems glum. I want to see where that was an obvious plot point throughout this whole chapter, kind of like an undertone. Merlin seems very, very glum, very saddened, almost like this. What's the best way to describe it? This cold sadness that you see all the way through the chapter in Merlin's face. And I'm wondering if there's something more to this, if there's some element of regret, if there's some element of I can turn this back, or I wish something hadn't happened. But even like regret at this point isn't good enough. You try to kill, or you almost killed freaking Elizabeth. You definitely killed freaking Escanor, the one person that loved you. So I want to see where this is going to go. I want to see if Merlin does some sort of self-sacrifice thing to maybe save the other guys from chaos, and I want to see if but then Arthur's the king of chaos now. I'm gonna read the next chapter, see how that goes, but I'm confused, and I think I've spoken myself into a deeper depth, a deeper coffin of confusion. So let me know what you guys thought of this chapter, of this review. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in a bit.